You hear about the Chinese Godfather? He made them an offer they couldn't understand.
Few locations are as deceptively mundane as the Sit Tight, a modest diner that serves as the backdrop for one of the most pivotal power shifts in the history of the North Jersey mob. The sequence in question encapsulates the central conflict that drives the early narrative, the friction between the old guard and the new, the tension between blood relation and business necessity, and the lethal dance between ego and survival. Through two distinct meetings separated by a period of off-screen reflection and calculation, Tony Soprano and his uncle Junior engage in a negotiation that ostensibly settles a war, but, in reality, establishes a deceptive hierarchy that will define the tragic trajectory of both men.
You gonna stop this before it gets out of hand?
The context surrounding these scenes is essential to understanding the gravity of the dialogue. The acting boss of the family, Jackie, has succumbed to cancer, leaving a power vacuum. The natural successor by merit and financial influence is Tony Soprano, a fact acknowledged by the other captains. However, the technical successor by seniority is Junior Soprano, a man plagued by deep-seated insecurities and a perceived lack of respect. Tensions have boiled over due to Junior's unauthorized taxation of Tony's businesses and his violent punishment of Tony's associates. The family stands on the precipice of a civil war. It is within this volatile atmosphere that the first scene in the diner takes place, serving as a collision of immovable objects. Junior sits in a booth eating while Tony approaches. The setting is significant. A diner is a public space, neutral ground, where violence is theoretically off the table, yet the tension is palpable.
You hear about the Chinese Godfather? He made them an offer they couldn't understand.
You gonna stop this before it gets out of hand?
The conversation begins not with pleasantries, but with immediate friction, signaling Junior's refusal to engage on a friendly level. When Tony questions the escalation of their conflict, Junior's response is to demand the traditional displays of affection and respect that he feels he is owed.
Not even a hello?
I'm here because I love you, and I respect you.
Don't pretend you're paying me respect.
This interaction highlights the fundamental disconnect between the two generations. For Tony, respect is earned through competence and financial success. For Junior, respect is a feudal entitlement owed to him by virtue of his age and his position within the family lineage. Junior's grievance is personal. He brings up the fact that Tony placed his own mother in a retirement community, framing it as a moral failing.
A son who throws his mother in an asylum. She lives like a poveretta up there.
By attacking Tony's character as a son, Junior attempts to undermine Tony's standing as a man and, by extension, a leader. This is a classic deflection tactic. Junior knows he cannot compete with Tony on the grounds of earning potential or popularity among the crew, so he shifts the battlefield to the realm of tradition and family values, areas where he believes he holds the moral high ground. Tony's reaction is defensive. He attempts to compartmentalize, insisting that his mother's living situation is a private family matter unrelated to business.
That's none of your business.
However, in this subculture, the personal and the professional are inextricably linked.
Your friends, they interfere in my business. They expect me to turn the cheek.
The truck and all that was made good to you.
Tony asserts his autonomy, declaring that he runs his crew his way and that Junior's interference was extreme.
Your boys were warned, and still, they embarrass me.
I run my crew my way. What you did was extreme.
This is a direct challenge to Junior's authority. Junior's retort is telling he claims to answer to people bigger than Tony.
I answer to bigger people than you, my friend.
Oh? Like Jackie?
This is a reference to the ghostly, archaic structure of the organization that Junior clings to, a hierarchy that exists more in his mind than on the street.
I show you my hand, and you slap it away.
Tony's incredulity is matched by his anger. He cannot fathom the pettiness of Junior's logic, but it is the conclusion of this first meeting that changes the stakes entirely.
Why can't we talk like adults anymore? Huh?
Out.
As Tony prepares to leave, frustrated by the circular argument and Junior's obstinacy, Junior delivers a parting shot that serves as a declaration of war.
Next time you come in, you come heavy or not at all.
He issues a chilling ultimatum, warning his nephew that any future confrontation must be backed by the intent to use lethal force. By telling Tony to come with a weapon or not come at all, Junior has drawn a line in the sand. He has escalated a dispute over money and respect into a matter of life and death.
You don't mean that.
Tony's reaction is one of stunned disbelief, followed by a dismissive exit, but the threat hangs heavy in the air. The camera lingers on Junior, who resumes eating with a look of self-righteous satisfaction. He believes he has asserted his dominance, unaware that he has forced Tony into a corner where creative problem solving is the only alternative to bloodshed. Tony realizes that engaging in a shooting war with his uncle is a losing proposition. Even if Tony were to win, which is likely, given his support among the other captains, the resulting chaos would attract law enforcement and damage the family's earnings. Furthermore, killing his uncle is a taboo that Tony, despite his violent nature, is reluctant to break. The solution Tony arrives at is a masterstroke of Machiavellian manipulation, likely influenced by the realization that Junior desires the perception of power more than the actual responsibilities of it. Tony understands that the position of boss in the modern era is a liability. It makes one the primary target for the FBI. This leads to the lightning rod strategy. Tony decides to let Junior have the title. Junior will be the face of the family, the one the feds chase, the one who takes the risks. Meanwhile, Tony will operate behind the scenes, retaining the real power and the bulk of the income. He will be the power behind the throne, ruling through a puppet who is too blinded by ego to see the strings. The camera follows Tony running down the street and bursting into the diner. This physical exertion suggests a man desperate to prevent a catastrophe, a performance designed to sell the narrative he is about to spin. He enters the diner, winded, and immediately adopts a posture of surrender. He holds up his hands, referencing Junior's earlier threat about coming armed.
I came in heavy, like you said, but I don't want to use it.
By explicitly stating that he has come with a weapon but has no desire to use it, Tony neutralizes the previous ultimatum. He is flipping the script, presenting himself not as a challenger, but as a weary soldier seeking peace. The visual dynamic in the booth has shifted. In the first meeting, they were adversaries facing off. Now, Tony leans in, his voice lower, more intimate. He breaks the news of Jackie's death.
Our friend Jackie has died.
I heard.
This is the catalyst for the negotiation. The throne is empty. The pretense of an acting boss is gone. The family needs a leader immediately to prevent chaos. Junior's reaction to the news is subdued. He knows this moment was coming, but he waits for Tony to make the first move.
Now we need a leader, and I don't want any confusion or misunderstanding.
Yes?
Tony's pitch is brilliant in its simplicity and its appeal to Junior's vanity. He states that they need a leader, and that he does not want confusion or misunderstanding. He frames his capitulation as a gesture of respect and family unity.
Sopranos have been waiting a long time to take the reins.
Implying that there is restless ambition in the ranks that only a strong leader can quell. Then, he delivers the coup de grace.
That's why I want it to be you, Uncle June.
The camera captures the subtle shifts in Junior's expression. Behind his thick glasses, his eyes widen slightly. He is skeptical at first.
This is your decision?
It is.
You speak for the captains?
I can.
This is the crucial test. Junior knows that without the support of the other crews, the title is meaningless. Tony assures him that he has the authority to make this offer. He is lying. In a sense, he hasn't explicitly pulled the captains on the specific plan in the clip, but he knows he can control them. He is handing Junior the crown, knowing it is made of tin. The moment of acceptance is played with a mixture of relief and overwhelming pride by Junior. He smiles, a rare expression for the curmudgeonly character. He beckons Tony for an embrace.
Crazy. She drool. You had me worried there.
This physical act is the seal of the deal. They stand up and hug in the middle of the diner. To the onlookers, the other patrons, the staff, this looks like a reconciliation between uncle and nephew, a touching family moment. To the initiated, it is the coronation of a new king. But the true nature of the transaction is revealed in the whisper.
Just one thing. One thing.
As they embrace, Tony holds Junior close. The hug is tight, intimate, and seemingly emotional. Junior is overcome with the validation he has sought for decades. He calls Tony a specific term of endearment, lapsing into Italian, signifying that he feels the natural order has been restored. He believes his tough love approach in the first meeting worked, that he successfully intimidated Tony into submission. Junior is giddy, high on the fumes of victory. However, while Junior is celebrating his ascendancy, Tony is securing his payment. Still locked in the embrace, Tony's face changes. The mask of the submissive nephew slips for a fraction of a second, replaced by the cold, calculating look of a businessman closing a deal. He whispers into Junior's ear.
You know I can't be perceived to lose face, right?
This is a clever manipulation. He frames his financial demands as a way to maintain his own reputation among his crew, rather than as a tax on the boss.
Bloomfield and the paving union. It's my asking price.
These are lucrative income streams. By asking for these specific concessions, Tony is stripping the assets from the boss before the reign has even begun. He is ensuring that while Junior gets the glory, Tony gets the gold. The paving union is particularly significant because it represents legitimate, steady income and leverage over construction contracts, the lifeblood of the mob's economic power.
Congratulations.
Junior, in his euphoric state, agrees immediately. He is so focused on the title, on the emotional victory of having Tony bow to him, that he barely registers the cost. He grants the request without negotiation, dismissing it as a minor detail. Done, he implies. The deal is struck. Tony pulls away, a smile on his face that mirrors Junior's, but stems from a completely different source of satisfaction. Junior smiles because he thinks he is Caesar. Tony smiles because he knows he is the one who feeds Caesar his lines. The actions in this scene are driven by a convergence of psychological needs and survival instincts. For Junior Soprano, the motivation is almost entirely egocentric. Throughout his life, he has lived in the shadow of his younger brother, Tony's father. He has watched his nephew rise through the ranks, surpassing him in wealth and influence. Junior suffers from a chronic sense of inadequacy and a fear of irrelevance. His aggressive behavior in the first meeting, the threats, the refusal to compromise, is the lashing out of a man who feels his power slipping away. The offer of the boss title is the ultimate salve for his wounded ego. It validates his entire existence. It proves, in his mind, that he is the patriarch he always claimed to be. His acceptance of the title is an act of vanity that blinds him to the obvious strategic trap Tony has laid. For Tony Soprano, the motivations are pragmatic and forward-thinking. Tony represents the modern criminal, less concerned with titles than with the bottom line and staying out of prison. He recognizes that the old ways are dying. The FBI is using RICO statutes to dismantle families from the top down. By placing Junior in the line of fire, Tony is buying himself time and safety. He effectively turns his uncle into a human shield. Furthermore, this move prevents a war that would hurt business. Tony sacrifices the vanity of the title for the reality of power. He is willing to let Junior sit at the head of the table as long as Tony decides what is on the menu. The come heavy line from the first meeting serves as the pivot point. It is the moment Tony realizes that Junior cannot be reasoned with using logic or appeals to shared financial interests. Junior operates on a currency of respect and fear. Therefore, Tony realizes he must pay Junior in that currency. The entire second meeting is a theatrical performance where Tony simulates the respect and fear Junior craves. The running into the diner, the hands up, the deferential tone, it is all a show designed to feed Junior's delusion. The setting of the diner also plays a symbolic role. In mafia lore, diners are often places where hits occur or where business is conducted in the open to avoid wiretaps. By concluding the war in a diner, surrounded by civilians, they are integrating their criminal conspiracy into the fabric of everyday American life. This juxtaposition highlights the duality of the characters' lives. They are murderers and extortionists, but they also exist within the mundane world of coffee and sandwiches. The tragedy of this scene, viewed with the benefit of hindsight, lies in the disparity between what Junior thinks is happening and what is actually occurring. Junior believes this is the beginning of his golden age. In reality, it is the beginning of his end. By accepting the title, he becomes the primary target of a federal investigation that will eventually lead to his indictment and house arrest. He gains the respect he craved, but it is a hollow victory that leads to his confinement. Tony, conversely, secures his position as the de facto leader, but this victory is not without its own costs. The deception involved in making his uncle the boss creates a foundational lie at the heart of his administration. It sets a precedent for manipulation that will bleed into his relationships with his other captains and his own family. Furthermore, while Junior is a straw boss, he is still a dangerous man with a fragile ego. Managing Junior becomes a full-time job for Tony, a constant balancing act of flattery and containment that will generate significant stress and conflict. The transaction regarding the paving union and Bloomfield also foreshadows the economic tensions that will plague the family. Tony's greed, his desire to keep the best earners for himself while offloading the risk to Junior, creates a structural imbalance. Eventually, Junior will realize that he is a king without a treasury, leading to further resentment and conflict. The seeds of betrayal are sown in the very moment of reconciliation. The diner sequence in Meadowlands is a microcosm of the series as a whole. It demonstrates the show's sophisticated understanding of power, not as a static object seized through brute force, but as a fluid concept negotiated through psychology, perception, and leverage. It has explored the strategic brilliance of Tony's lightning rod plan, which weaponizes Junior's insecurity against him. Finally, it has deconstructed the second meeting, revealing the hug not as an embrace of love, but as the closing of a predatory contract. Tony Soprano enters the diner as a nephew threatened by a tyrannical uncle. He leaves as a puppet master who has successfully enslaved his adversary by giving him exactly what he wanted. Junior Soprano enters the diner as a bitter old man fighting for scraps of respect. He leaves believing he is the victor, unaware that the crown he has just accepted is actually a target painted on his back. In this quiet, fluorescent-lit diner, without a single shot being fired, a war is ended, a king is crowned, and a fate is sealed. The brilliance of the scene lies in its quietude. The most violent thing that happens is a whisper, yet that whisper reshapes the entire landscape of the series.